Rick Ector with Rick's Farm Academy of Detroit. Rick, welcome to Cam & Company. You're here with John Pop, Cameron Gray, and Seton Motley. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I am great today. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're good.
We're having too much
Breaking
fun.
news left and right.
Yeah.
But you are, we just talked to Robert Verdaz of the U.S. Border Patrol, who's in Tampa. That's where you are right now, right?
I actually just touched down a couple of hours ago. I'm here at the GRPC this year in Tampa, Florida.
Well, for people who don't know, what is the GRPC and what do you hope to do there?
And what is Tampa, Florida?
Paradise.
Right, what is Tampa, Florida? Tampa is a very nice-looking town
Yes.
with palm trees all over the place, construction everywhere. The place looks like it's thriving.
I think
And
in
they have
the
a
layman
very nice Cuban restaurant called Columbia
in layman's
over
terms.
in Ybor.
In
Ybor
Ybor
City.
In
Ybor
layman's
City.
terms, it's called the anti-Detroit, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, they might have a little different sentiment down here in Florida.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little
Florida
bit.
was the state that started it all, you know, with the shall issue on the concealed carry licenses.
That's right.
But for the uninitiated, the GRPC stands for the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and it is a conference in which a very large number of groups are usually represented by individuals from that organization.
Mm-hmm.
We get together, we talk about various topics. Some of those hot topics you guys were talking about today will probably be covered.
Yep.
It's an opportunity for like-minded people from a lot of different gun rights organizations to get together and make sure that any initiatives that they're doing in their respective towns and states is not stepping on the toes of any of the other archetypes within the gun community. For example, we wouldn't want, say, a hunting group to push for certain laws that would impact people who carry guns for self-defense, that type of thing.
Okay.
It's for me, it's like a homecoming because out of all the years that I go to the annual conferences, usually the one I go to every year is the NRA's annual meeting. You know, I get to see all of my buddies and friends and old friends and new friends that I'm constantly making. It's good to actually see these people face to face. So it's always a great time to go to a conference and see your counterparts in the gun rights community.
Well, we've been happy to see you at these conventions before, Rick, and having met you, I know that you are a black gentleman.
Yes, I am.
So I'm and I call you a friend.
A man of melanin.
Yes,
Absolutely.
So as a friend, I'm going to break this news to you that you might want to consider leaving the GRPC, getting back in your plane, flying back to Detroit, because you really have no right to be at the Gun Rights Policy Conference because according to the Washington Post, Eugene Robinson, in America, gun rights are for whites only. You not being white, Rick, I hate to break this to you, hit the bricks.
Yeah, there's no breaking news there. I know, and anyone that's ever met me knows. And yes, you can definitely solidly count me as a friend.
Yes.
I love seeing you guys. You, Cam, Pop, and we got two Cams.
Yes.
And man, and then there's always a new guy around. So I look forward to meeting him in Atlanta next year.
Absolutely.
But the argument that's presented by the Washington Post reporter is absurd on its face. I took a look at the article he published, and I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to take a couple of issues together and put together a very specious argument. You know, the one incident, well, there's been a few incidents, but the one that he seems to be focusing on was the Philandro Castile case out of, I think it's Faircrest, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for the uninitiated, that was the case where the black gentleman was in the car, and we certainly are treated to the video, which it appears that he's been shot multiple times by a police officer. There's a lot of commentary and narration as to what exactly happened. And if you've seen that video as it was broadcast on Facebook Live, it is definitely not a pretty sight to see. You know, the thing that I did in the aftermath of that incident was to make sure I reached out to the media, and I did a couple of local news pieces back home in Detroit about law enforcement, police stops, things that you should do, things that you should not do. But the key takeaway from that case is, regardless of how gory and graphic it was, we still objectively, people who were not there don't know what happened. Mm-hmm. It's quite possible that that officer did shoot him without provocation. It's also possible that based on what the laws are in Minnesota and how he conducted himself, something happened that police officer got spooked. Unfortunately, in that particular case, we'll just have to wait until the investigation produces something tangible that a decision can be made. I would believe that decision was made in the other shooting in the Tulsa case,
Yes.
where it appears that the guy was walking towards his vehicle with his hands up, and whether he got shot or not, unjustifiably or so, I believe that police officer was charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
So, the thing is, you just have to take all these cases as they come and look at them on their own individual merits. I've gotten a lot of heat from a couple of shootings that, in my opinion, were justified, despite the fact that certain agitators were trying to convince us otherwise. But to use these cases as Exhibit A to put forth the idea that black people, African Americans, should not own a gun and that gun rights do not belong to us is patently absurd. The one thing that's really ironic and hypocritical is that many black people across this country cannot even exercise their gun rights due to the fact that there's draconian gun laws in those particular cities and in those states. And I point to places like Newark, New Jersey, New York City, Los Angeles, and the list goes on, So to say that we don't have the right to own a firearm, well, gee, we do, but in actual practice we can't, because gun rights organizations such as the NRA, we got a lot of work to do. The fact that someone is trying to, and I call it dance in the blood of the victims to further an anti-gun agenda is just shameful.
All right. Rick Ector, Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit. So enjoy your time down there in Tampa, sir, at the gun rights. What is it? What is it again? The gun rights policy conference. Thank you, Rick.
It's going to be great.
Go ahead,
all right,
sir.
and thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Rick Ector.
Thanks, Rick.